Orko or Fenrir. Yes. Um, your thoughts on the TLC pay-per-view?
If I had to say it in one line, then I did not like it. I really did not like it. Maybe it was because of the high that I was coming off of from NXT R Evolution, but I didn't have a lot of expectations to begin with, but even the ones I had were not met up with. So if I had to give it a rating out of 5, I would probably give it a. If I was generous, maybe 2. If I was generous, but 1.5 perhaps.
Oh God. Was it that bad?
The thing with wrestling nowadays is that I look at the roster and I see NXT and whatnot, and I see that there's potential to do good. And it's not that they had to make really big changes or drastic changes for it to be better than what it was. Small changes here and there could have made this like 100 times better. That's an exaggeration, but booking is something that needs to be better, much better. And I can't even blame the WWE creative at this point because everything that goes on, like Vince is the gatekeeper. So no matter how good of a script the creative comes up with, if Vince McMahon doesn't like it, it doesn't go through. And from the podcast, it was very evident that Vince McMahon is pretty out of touch. And something needs to happen, and something needs to happen fast, company. I'm not one to judge sitting in Bangladesh, first year student in a university, but I think things need to change. Maybe if Triple H took over, things could be better, but I don't know. At present, the wrestlers I don't think have any motivation to really put out their all.
The feeling that I get from Vince McMahon, especially after the podcast, is he wants his superstars, his employees to perform better. And that is why he tried to light up a fire in the roster by saying that they're not motivated enough. That's what I feel.
I think he failed spectacularly. It did not work. Just the way he said it, it sounded really condescending. There were better ways to phrase it.
Yes, I understand that, but that is his intention from what I gather. But the problem is that it works two ways. On one hand, you have Vince McMahon who can be complacent because the WCW is not there anymore. And with all due respect to TNA and ROH and all other companies, they're not just big enough to compete against the WWE empire. There's that. So Vince McMahon can rest on his laurels for a very, very long period of time. But on the other hand, you have these superstars who are employed in the best pro wrestling company in the world, and they are living a very good life. I know that they're on the road
They have a lot of problems
throughout the year, but then the living that they make is good enough for them. And what I think is that they're trying to play it safe, because with Vince, it can go either way. One, you can impress him with your personality, but on the other hand, it can also backfire, as we've seen with CM Punk, for example.
I will actually disagree on that. I'd say that if these wrestlers did take a chance with Vince, I think it could ultimately pay off. But what's the worst that could happen? They'd be put into a jobber's position, but that happens to them anyway. But the wrestlers that are doing good right now or have done good, you'll always see examples where they actually went up to him or went up to creative and said that they did not want to do this. CM Punk did this. Like, I got a genuine impression that Vince McMahon likes CM Punk. He wanted to sort something out, but there's a problem with Triple H. Triple H doesn't like him. And the Shield, recently Dean Ambrose did an interview, and they said that the Shield used to gang up on creative. They asked them to job to John Cena, and they just went up and said they wouldn't. And I think Vince McMahon appreciates that. So maybe there's fault on both sides. The wrestlers also need to take a chance, but there's such diminishing returns. They possibly think that they won't get much.
One of the reasons why the Attitude Era was so successful was because the guys knew that they were fighting to save the company, and they had to give it their all. So the motivation was there, the incentive was there to save the company. But now they don't have it. All they have is you either settle for mediocrity, you stay in the mid card, you job at times, and you get a decent living, or you can try to be a rebel and you can try to assert yourself into the main event scene. And the problem is that WWE now relies on part-timers like The Rock to main event WrestleMania. So even if you work your butt off the entire year, you will not possibly main event WrestleMania, which is one of the grievances that CM Punk had with the company. That despite putting on the best performance every year, and even after outselling John Cena in terms of merchandise, still could not main event WrestleMania.
One thing I'll say for Vince or the creative or the higher up executive is that there exists a kind of, we the general fans, or we're not general fans, right? We really like
We're passionate fans.
we're very passionate fans, but we are not a majority.
No.
We're a very small minority.
Yes.
So we didn't pop for Roman Reigns, did we? Like he
No,
came
we
in
didn't.
but the arena did.
And
Roman Reigns still gets huge pops.
yes, he does.
And
And,
he's-
even in our screening at Live Kitchen, the crowd went nuts
Exactly.
for Roman Reigns.
So what we want to see might make for a better product, but it won't make for a more profitable product. And that's what Vince McMahon needs. And I think they do have a motivation right now also, because the WWE is slowly but surely sinking. Their viewership has dropped, like what, in the last 10 years? Like they've lost millions of viewers.
Yes.
I think WWE hasn't turned a profit in the last 5 or 6 quarters. So motivation's coming up. If they want to keep their jobs as wrestlers, I think they're gonna have to step up. But then again, we think that yes, if they do this, we'll get better wrestling and whatnot, but people won't buy tickets for that. People will buy tickets for Brock Lesnar versus Rock.
My problem is that there is only a certain amount of time until which you can rely on these ready-made superstars.
Yes.
You can no longer have a Hulk Hogan or a Ric Flair in the ring. Their days are over. And very soon, The Rock and Brock Lesnar themselves won't be able to perform in the ring. So you do need the current roster to turn into those larger-than-life superstars.
Exactly.
So the time is now, and I fail to understand why they're not trying hard enough to promote these superstars to that level.
This is a problem I have as well, that I don't get this. Like, why do they insist on pushing one guy, just one of them? Why not concentrate on a whole group? Like, why do they have to make one event star? Why
Exactly.
can't they push multiple guys simultaneously?
Exactly.
Not everyone has to be a part of the main roster,
Yeah.
but they could be up there. Out of a 5, how much would you give TLC?
3.
Come on. Why? Tell me why it deserves a 3.
Because
Show me the positives.
Ziggler versus Harper.
Okay, I'll agree to that. Ziggler versus Harper was... I don't know why. I enjoyed the match, but throughout the entire thing, there's an uncomfortable feeling inside me that these people were putting their bodies on the line to such an extent and probably shaving off ears. I don't know. It made me slightly uncomfortable. I understand that, yes, that's their job and they're supposed to do it, but some of the spots were really brutal and they got bloodied up. But yes, it was a phenomenal match. I'll give you that. Okay. That was a positive. And
Ambrose versus Wyatt was a good match.
it was a spot fest. It wasn't a match.
I am not saying that TLC was a good wrestling event. It was not supposed to be. It was a gimmick-based pay-per-view,
Okay.
and it was meant to be a spot fest, which it was.
Okay, I agree. Okay, but still, Ambrose versus Wyatt.
On top of that-
the crowd was dead.
on
and they
top
had
of
to
that,
do these crazy things. Okay.
Another silver lining: Cena was not in the main event. That was a good thing as well.
I'd actually think that they it would have been better if they had put Cena in the main event. It was diminishing returns. The audience had already seen everything by that
True.
point. So they'd seen Cena and Rollins go through tables. They'd seen ladder spots from Ziggler and Harper, right?
Mhm.
And also chair shots from Ryback and Kane. Although
Yeah.
I didn't watch that match, but by that time they'd already seen everything. So
Yes.
what motive? Like what? Why would they be interested in what they were doing?
Which is why they had to resort to those spots.
Exactly. So had they put that in the middle and John Cena, say what you want about the man, but he gets reactions.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
put that in the main event, and they could have pulled that through because of the star power. There's a sheer amount of star power they had in the ring. They had Roman Reigns and Big Show was there, and they had Rollins and John Cena. So I think, although I am happy for Dean Ambrose and Bray Wyatt that they got that opportunity, but I don't think it was the right decision.